I was looking on Reddit and there was a post from Danima who posted, "What are the unspoken, lesser known laws of the board gaming hobby?" I just want to read off some of these top rated things, and I agree with all of them, but I think it's funny that someone even pointed some of these out.
All right.
So some of the obvious ones: don't bend the cards in your hand.
I've had to tell that to adults.
Yeah. Don't riffle shuffle unless it's your game.
Wow. People cannot understand. People cannot comprehend why you wouldn't.
Right.
I riffle shuffle my games. Why should I not do that with yours?
Because it's not yours. While someone is looking in the rule book, another person should Google it.
Yeah.
Seems obvious.
Absolutely that.
And I feel like a lot of times that just doesn't happen. Everybody else just sits around and pulls out their phone and just does something else in the meantime. It's a good rule, though.
I think it depends on the level of complexity. For example, if we were sitting here playing Captain Flip,
yeah,
and it's just something easy that you're going to be able to find in the rule book, fine. But if we're
rule
playing
book.
Frosthaven, and this is a very intricate connection of two disparate things that it's probably not even going to be in the rule book how these things interact. Yeah, somebody else needs to get their phone out and look it up.
Get to the BGG forums immediately.
If not multiple people.
This one seems obvious. No Cheetos or Doritos at the game table. No one wants their new copy of Wingspan to get cheesy fingerprints.
These same people that riffle shuffle always are serving Doritos.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not going to bring my games.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of pretzels, but they have their purpose in a board game night.
That.
Yeah. If you want a chip style thing, you got to bring something that's really low oil because you're going to ruin some cards. Win or lose, first time playing a board game doesn't really count. So no complaining or bragging about the result of that first game.
Yeah, I say that all the time. It's a learning game.
It's a learning game. That's how we've always done it. I wonder if other people say it. It's a learning game. Always is a learning game.
Or even worse, like I've played this game 200 times and I'm teaching you for the first time. And of course, I'm blowing you completely out of the water. You don't need to feel bad.
Yeah.
You are just learning.
This is another rule. It's one word. Clockwise. There's so many times where you're like, who's next? Or which way are we going?
Okay, which direction do we go? It's always clockwise unless otherwise said.
And it never otherwise says. I mean, maybe sometimes.
I mean,
but I
like
can't think
games
of
like
time.
Solo or Uno where it can change.
Oh, yeah,
you can
that's
reverse.
True. But we're starting clockwise.
Or even Dead of Winter has a part of it goes clockwise and part of it goes anti-clockwise. But even in those situations, unless you're told otherwise, assume clockwise.
Here's another one. It says, announce your moves. Speaketh the actions. That happens all the time. I try to push that, especially when we're streaming, because some people can't see as well as we can on the screen. You know, you have camera limitations. But even at the table, I have distance limitations. Like if I see you just moving stuff around, or if I'm mid-conversation with someone else, don't blame my conversation because you don't want to say what you did or you're trying to hide it.
Yeah, I mean, even this happens to me in co-op games. Frosthaven.
It's like, we're working together,
like,
right?
Dink, my turn's done. Well, what did you do? Oh, just a setup turn. But can you explain it, please? Because I don't know your character and I don't know how it works. So could you just explain what's going on? We had a situation like that where someone had done that for like 20 games. They were this character. And then when they finally retired it and someone else got that character, they were like, you were doing this wrong.
And we could have fixed
this whole time. You never told us. You never read us this. You missed a word. It's only in this situation. Oops.
Well, so that from now on, you have to say everything you do. I haven't pre-read these. I read some of them. I was like, oh, we got to just talk about these in the moment. So this one's a really long one. So let's see where this goes. 30 seconds is the correct amount of time for everyone to stare at the table before asking a player just thinking, or he didn't realize it was his turn. If he's past his turn and nobody else realized. Be a good sport and play the game that isn't your favorite. Oh, this is 3 different rules. Be a good sport and play a game that isn't your favorite when the whole group likes it. But be good sports and don't always play the same game when you know one person isn't as big a fan as the rest. Before you give strategy advice, ask if the intended recipient wants to hear it. Even if they are new, many players prefer to figure it out rather than hear unsolicited advice. That last one is something, I don't know, maybe I overshare when I'm teaching a game to new players. I don't tell them what to do. I like to present options, and maybe that is overstepping. No? Okay. Well, I mean, according to that rule, if we're adhering to that rule, that might be overstepping.
I mean, just for example, I'm teaching Great Western Trail. I'm going to say, cowboys are important. Don't let me tell you how to play. You can win without doing cowboys. But for your first game, cowboys are important.
Yeah, it's a great first way.
Yeah, it's just a little advice. I didn't tell you buy 5 cowboys. I just told you, don't be surprised if we get halfway through the game and you ain't got no cowboys and I do, if I'm whooping your butt. But I usually will say to someone, okay, now, before you do that, let me just remind you, this is a thing and this is a thing. And I just want to make sure you understand how those things work together. I'm not going to give you a piece of strategy advice. I just want to make sure you understand this is how these rules all interact with each other. And then they're like, so actually what I want to do is this. It's like, yeah, you probably do.
Yeah. Yeah. First plays, I give options. I think that should be a rule. First plays, give them some options. I talk myself out of a win all the time and when I'm teaching games. Because providing the options, let them know like, oh, thanks for telling me that. I didn't even think about that. I think I just did that recently in Rise of Queensdale, or, I say recently because we played all the games like in a small amount of space. But yeah, just reminding someone's like, you can go to the +2 now because you really don't need to do that action right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can wait on that.
Oftentimes people have something in their mind that they're like hyper fixated on this thing and they just ignore everything else. I mean, I fall into that trap all the time.
Yeah.
But the other one that you mentioned, we kind of passed over it really fast, was the, does the person realize it's their turn?
Yeah, the 30 seconds. If you veto a game, suggest another one. That one I agree with. Like if people are like, no, I don't want to play that. Like, well, then tell me what you do want to play. It's the hardest thing on a board game.
That's a life rule.
That is a life rule.
I don't want sushi. Okay, well, what do you want? No, girl. If you're gonna veto my sushi, you better be suggesting some pizza. Like, it ain't just a board game rule.
Right. This isn't real life Tinder. Come here to have fun, not hit on people.
Ooh, child.
Has that ever been a thing for you?
Wow.
I don't know if that's happened here.
I'm not a lady, and I think that's mostly ladies who have that problem.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, I do play with a lot of gay homosexuals, but I got a husband. Nobody ever hits on me, so.
Deal to yourself last.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty standard. Always start on the left of yourself.
Yeah, unless the game specifically calls for you to do it differently.
Yeah. Don't pick up the cards until people are done dealing.
Oh, these are some like old school, we're playing canasta, we're playing poker rules. I've heard that before. I know the reason for it.
What's the reason for it?
It could be that I dealt too many to someone and need to move them around.
Fair. So don't look at them so we don't have to do it all again.
Yep.
Yeah, that has a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Help clean up and set up.
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
Sometimes.
Oh, sometimes you don't want people to
it all needs to go back a certain way, and I know the right way, and you don't.
True.
And you've already put that in the wrong bag, so stop. Sometimes. But most of the time, especially with gamers, yes, help. Especially if we're at a convention, help.
If you are not willing to read the rules, you can't fault the teacher nor complain when a rule mistake is made. Yep. Everyone had a chance to read the rules. You knew what we were playing in some cases.
I mean, tell it to the YouTube comments.
Let's see. This one says for me and mine, so this might be pretty specific, but let's see if it appeals to us. If someone is asking about a specific thing on the board, you always tell them the truth. My husband is colorblind, and an ex-friend of ours would exploit that by lying about game state or misidentified pieces for him. He would always go, "Oh, it was a mistake," or "Oh, I misread the board," when caught. Took me a while to figure it out, but that it was on purpose, and he was an ex-friend as soon as I did.
That's cheating.
Yeah, that's straight up cheating.
Why would you want to cheat? You're an adult.
What's the fun in that? There's no fun in that.
Oh, man, that is terrible.
I've never done that, but if I were going to do it, I would immediately be like, "I'm kidding, it's red." Or, I'm kidding, it's whatever.
Yeah.
I would let them believe it for about 2 seconds and be like, "No, I'm kidding, that wasn't."
But where was everybody else? Where was everybody else being like, "Wait a minute, that's not..."
Well, maybe they were playing games by themselves or something, or she wasn't there.
Wow. How bonkers is that?
That is nuts. Wow.
We don't play with cheaters.
Game time is so short and precious. I don't want to spend 20 to 30 minutes figuring out the rules together. And yes, I am usually the one doing the teaching.
Amen. Say it again for the people in the back. I did not come to your house for you to take out a game, take out the rules, and then proceed to read the rule book to me that you have never read, that you have not watched a video, you have not done any research, and we are going to sit here and just listen to you read the rules? Absolutely no. No. No, no, no. Tell me the game in advance, I'll learn it, and I'll teach it if you can't do it.
Yeah. Just like that. Thou shalt not try to beat everyone in the game. You are also teaching them for the first time.
Well, sometimes it just happens, but
yeah, but we know some people who kind of use that as an advantage. Be like, they'll be teaching the game, and then like 3/4 into it, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's what this does," or "This is what I'm doing, and I didn't tell you about it."
Yeah, unfortunately, especially if they're new gamers and they don't game a lot, I'm teaching them something. I might even pull a couple punches and do something a little not as good for myself, or try like a completely wacky strategy,
right?
Just so I don't end up 100-4. Like a game we played where someone got like 300 and something and we had like 4 or 5 points.
Oh, I got taught a game, Forbidden Stars, at Dice Tower.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I kind of learned the game, but at the same time, he just wanted some opponents to beat.
He just went full force.
Yeah, he didn't tell us anything about what he was doing, and just went for these moves, not explaining any of them, just made the moves. And eventually we found out, oh, that's why you did that, because you went for doing that. And I was playing with Ramp. It was the two of us just watching him do these things. And we were just like, oh, well, it'd be nice if he told us any of that. So if someone's teaching the game, don't chime in with helpful remarks. Yes, Daniel, I was getting to that part in a slow, organized manner. Now everyone has questions about what you said and has forgotten about what I was saying. One teacher only.
I used to be that person. I used to feel that
Melissa
same exact
is that
way.
person.
I used to feel that if I'm teaching, everybody else shut up and listen. But I don't feel that way anymore.
Oh, really? No, I'm the Melissa chimes in.
I think chiming in is okay. It depends on who the person is. People have different styles. Some people want to tell it in their order, in their way. But over time, I've loosened up on that and realized if someone chimes in, I'll say, "Thank you. I was just about to say that, actually," and just do a yes and,
Yes and improv.
Do a
rules.
yes and instead of excuse me, I'm teaching in my way, which is the only proper way. I mean, I get people who are like that, people who are more anal than me, and how I used to be. But it's just a board game. It'll be
just a board game, people.
It'll be all right.